Dan Bedandi for the InfoWars Nightly News. Have you registered online for Obamacare yet? Are you having problems on the website? And once again, Piers Morgan takes a stab at our Second Amendment and dares to insult our founding fathers. Now we're in the heart of the Industrial Revolution, historic Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and now we're going to ask the general public their thoughts about all this. Do you have trust in the government and why?
No, I do not trust the government. They're corrupted.
Somewhat. Some I do and some I don't.
No, I do not have trust in the government.
And why is that?
Well, because they're full of snakes. They're all corrupt, you know.
Not too much.
Absolutely, he's a good government. He looks out for the poor and the Americans.
Yes, I do.
And why is that?
Because it's America, and they take care of things, you know what I'm saying?
And your thoughts about Obamacare?
I think it's a good thing. Everybody should have it.
I think it's good and bad at the same time.
Doesn't seem like too many people like it, and or Obama.
It's not really going to be for the people, more for the government itself.
My guess is it's not perfect, but at least he's the first one that got something through.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Okay, now CNN's Piers Morgan recently stated the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms, he stated that it was clumsily written and it's time to rephrase it. Now, do you disagree or agree with that, and why?
I disagree, and I can't explain why.
I believe when the government, you know, tries to do something, they're trying to take away our guns so that we can't fight back against them.
Oh, I agree. I looked at the Second Amendment. I couldn't figure out what it said.
I actually agree with it because they should, but see, a lot of people are taking it the wrong way, using it for different things they shouldn't be doing, you know what I mean?
And are you aware that according to FBI statistics, states with little to no gun control have the lowest crime and murder rates in the country?
I was not aware of that, no.
Yeah. Yep. I don't believe that.
And are you on any form of government assistance?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Medicaid.
Yes, I am.
No.
Okay, and what do you think would happen if all government assistance were to be cut off, such as EBT, Social Security, and everything? What do you think would happen?
The crime rate would go up.
Everybody in the hood will go crazy. They will go crazy. There'll be riots forming. Nobody know how to pay their bills. They won't eat. They'll be robbing everybody.
And do you think it'll be cause total riots everywhere?
Yes, I do.
Be a whole lot more crime.
I think crime rates will go up.
You see riots?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think all hell would break loose.
Standing here at the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution at the old Slater Mill in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, I can only imagine what the founders would have thought to know that our Second Amendment is being eroded and that we are being forced to purchase Obamacare. And this is Dan Bedandi reporting for the InfoWars Nightly News.
In recent series of prosecutions, precedents are being established for the criminalization of political dissent in America. Free speech and thinking will now get you in prison or killed. Massachusetts high school student Cameron D'Ambrosio was arrested and charged under terrorism laws merely for posting lyrics on Facebook that make reference to the Boston Marathon bombings. He faces 20 years in prison. A string of similar terror prosecutions around the country take aim at the First Amendment protection of free speech and political expression. As with freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, also guaranteed under the First Amendment, has not been officially repealed. The reality, however, is that political assembly is already a semi-criminal activity in America. Political protests are routinely met with vastly disproportionate police mobilizations, confinement to free speech zones, beatings, tear gas, pepper spray, stun grenades, or rubber bullets. The standard government response to a political protest is a massive show of force, complete with police snipers on rooftops. The drive towards the establishment of an American police state, initiated under the Bush administration, has shifted into high gear under Obama for nearly 12 years. The phony war on terror has been used as the pretext for illegal imperialist war abroad, and a methodical assault on democratic rights at home. The basic structure of authoritarian rule is now emerging into plain view. Over the recent period, the government has vastly expanded its warrantless surveillance of the population. The Obama administration has constructed a massive data center in Utah big enough to store the contents of every personal computer in the country. Already at a government agent's fingertips without a warrant are all of your internet browsing activity, telephone conversations, text messages, credit card transactions, mobile phone GPS location data, travel itineraries, Skype and Facebook data, medical records, criminal records, financial records, and surveillance camera footage. Big Brother is watching you. Tens of thousands of drones are slated to be launched over the US mainland in the coming years, with thousands already buzzing overhead. These high-tech aircraft are able to monitor meetings and demonstrations, access wireless networks, and record the movements of citizens. CIA Director John Brennan expressly refused at his confirmation hearings to rule out the possibility that these drones could be armed and used for carrying out assassinations within the US. While schools are being shuttered and teachers fired supposedly for lack of money, local police departments are washing billions of dollars of military hardware and training provided by the Department of Homeland Security. When local police are mobilized to respond to a political protest, they now do so in coordination with the federal military and intelligence agencies. It is not a rarity for armored vehicles, body armor, and military equipment to be deployed to a peaceful protest. The authorities now have the power to subject an entire city to a military siege with the population ordered to shelter in place, while businesses and transportation are shut down and heavily armed SWAT teams are deployed to conduct warrantless house-to-house searches without regard for basic rights. The Obama administration, in concert with state and local police departments, has sent untold numbers of anti-terror undercover spies into domestic political parties and protest groups. In addition to gathering information, the job of these spies is to divert, disrupt, and prevent the emergence of organized social opposition. Under the National Defense Authorization Acts of 2011 and 2012, the U.S. government asserts the power to subject designated terrorists to arbitrary arrest and detention without trial. The U.S. government subjects alleged terrorists to torture. Finally, in the cases of Anwar al-Awlaki, Samir Khan, and Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki, the U.S. government tested out its asserted power to murder terrorists outright, even if they are U.S. citizens. Under these precedents, it would not be necessary to officially suspend the Constitution in order for the U.S. government to meet future domestic opposition with military lockdowns, curfews, house-to-house searches, mass arrests, torture, and even assassination. With political dissent labeled as terrorism or material support for terrorism, Congress, the President, the courts, the military, and the so-called free press could continue in their present roles. Two essential factors are driving the trampling of democratic rights and the shift towards authoritarian rule. The first is the massive growth of social inequality, which in turn is driven by the historic crisis of the world capitalist system. While it traps the population in order to pile up ever greater and more obscene levels of private wealth, the financial aristocracy is terrified of the emergence of social opposition. Not from a position of strength, but out of extreme fear and vulnerability, the billionaires look to police state repression as a means to preserve their status, power, and wealth. Second, just as democracy is incompatible with such levels of social inequality, it is incompatible with imperialist war. The U.S. military and intelligence agencies have for 12 years been waiting in blood in a drive to plunder the world's strategic resources. The dead, wounded, and displaced number in the millions. A professional military, divorced from and hostile to the population, and resentful of civilian control, has immensely expanded its size, resources, and political power to the point where it and its intelligence counterpart, in league with Wall Street, dominate the workings of the state. We are no longer free. The dumbing down has been in effect so long that most Americans will welcome the police state in fear that an imaginary force is going to harm them. The mainstream media is the mouth of the oppressors. We must wake up and open our eyes to what is happening. Now is the time. Before it is too late and we are all dead or in prison.